Hello, everybody. Finally, it's Wednesday, 23rd of February 2022, and we are here, Fayute, my Irish friends. I hope everybody's okay. I'm again with this wonderful team here, ready to talk about the the intuition of future joys and sorrows. So it's a pleasure to have you all here with us today. So, in order to start, let the team introduce themselves. So, let's leave the ladies first. So, Elsa, you just beside me here. So, let's start with you.
Good evening, dear friends. Good morning, good afternoon. Once again, we are here, and the week goes so quickly. And we are here once again to take part in this wonderful episode tonight. And I hope you enjoy it and be with us and chat with us. Put your questions, your comments, your suggestions. This help us to expand the Spiritist teachings around the world. Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you, Miss Gibbons.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be again with all of us together, asking God to bless us this evening and everyone that will be with us. And let's hope that we'll be able to see more joys than sorrows in our futures. And, just looking forward to the meeting today. Hope everybody joins in, asking questions, putting their points across. So really nice to be here. Thank you.
Great. Miss Nadja.
Labas
Labas.
vakaras, labas vakaras, laba diena, labas rytas. Šiandien mes kalbėsime apie ateities džiaugsmo ir sielvartų intuiciją, apie mediumizmą, apie spiritizmą, apie gyvenimą po mirties. Tikiuosi, kad jums bus labai naudinga, labai įdomu ir enjoy.
Good. Monsieur Charles, bonsoir.
Bonsoir Stevan, bonsoir à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous ce soir pour parler de l'intuition, des peines et des espérances futures. Et oui, bon, est-ce que tout ça c'est fumeux, est-ce que c'est virtuel ou est-ce que c'est réel? C'est ce qu'on va essayer de vous expliquer aujourd'hui. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Very happy to be here again with you to look of this theme for this theme. That will develop today about the intuitions, future joys and sorrows, that we will try to clarify a little bit for you all. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Let me see here. Good evening, Ruben from Uruguay. Good to have you all, or have you with us today. I can see people are joining us, so it's wonderful to share this moment. While people are joining us, let's start with our short video. Let me put it here, and there we go.
No sound.
No sound? Okay, let me try to fix. 1 second. Let's go again.
Can a psychic, can a medium predict the future? Yes or no? Yes and no. If you're going to a medium, if you try to predict your future on your own interest, say, for example, am I going to get that promotion? Is my boss going to promote me, or am I going to get a raise on my salary? Am I going to marry this person? That's quite silly, isn't it? It doesn't really matter much. It matters only to you. If you go to a medium, this person is going to advise you even on silly subjects because he or she is making money out of it. If this person predicts that silly future, is there a spirit with him or her? There might be. There might be. But what kind of spirit do you think is going to be working with this psychic? It's not a wise person. So don't bother. Don't waste your time with silly things. And they might have even a spirit with them. But what kind of spirit do they have? What kind of psychic do you think they are? Not really people you can trust. They're just taking your money away. Sometimes they're saying things that you would love to hear, and you pay some money for them. Sometimes they will say things that will scare you to death, and you pay money for them to clear the situation. Don't go into this trap. You don't need it. Or do you think your professional life or your business is going to flourish just because of that, because you paid some money for the psychics? Do you think the spirits will help you just because of that? Or do you help because you have worked hard, because you're really willing to help people, to make your business something that will help humanity? If so, certainly you're going to count with the help from spirits. Work hard on your relationships, work hard on your business, take care of your life, and certainly the spirits are going to help you. That's what spirits are interested on the progress of humanity, on your progress morally and intellectually.
Okay. So, another amazing video. Okay, so let me start today. And when I was preparing something to tell you guys, come up the second epistle to Peter. This is on chapter 1:21. For the prophecy never had its origin in the human will, but prophets, though human, spoke from God as they were carried along by the Holy Spirit. And then we can go to chapter 156 from the book The Way, the Truth, and the Life from Chico Xavier, dictated by Emmanuel. And Emmanuel says, all men in the powers of intuition, in the divine tabernacle of consciousness, and everyone can develop their possibilities in this sense, in the domain of spiritual elevation. The intuitive faculty is a universal institution. Terrestrial man receives the vibrations of the highest life through its resources, in religious, philosophical, artistic, and scientific contributions, expanding sentimental and cultural conquests. This collaboration is always verified, not by creature's will, but by the concession of God. In other words, my friends, the loving and the wising Father attends everyone, no matter where you are, where you're from, what your color, what your religion, don't matter. He attends to everyone. He guides everyone. He inspires everyone. He renews everyone, consoles and clarifies everyone. Where? In our conscience. Based on this, let's start here with my lovely friends. And today, Charles, I ask permission for you to start with Silvia. Instead, you. And yeah, I want to make your life easy, my friend.
Okay.
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 So, my dear, in the book Evolution in 2 Words, André Luiz states that intuition was the initial system of exchange and that the production of continuous thoughts by spirit, which characterized the mental emission of the human being, enable the perispirit to partially detach itself in moments of the physical body's restoring sleep. In other words, our perispirits detach from our physical body and make connection with superior worlds. But can we say that intuition is the initial stage of mediumship?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because intuition as such is, I think, for me, my understanding of it, it's part of who we are. And I think, going back to what Kardec teaches us in the Medium's book, question 159, that he says, Kardec asks the spirits who are mediums, and the answer from the spirits were, everyone that in any way receive the influence of spirits are mediums. And that's not a privilege, because this is a faculty that's inherent to man. And almost everyone, is a medium. Although the term medium is used for people who have ostensive mediumship. So in that sense, it is a part of mediumship, because what this medium's book teaches us, the spirit teaches us, is that we are all mediums. So intuition is part of that. I wouldn't say is a beginning somehow. It's part of the whole. It's part of everything that we have, because being mediums, everyone has suffering from spirits, literally. We know that. So in a way, everyone is a medium, and some people have more mediumship than others. And even within the ostensive mediumship, we have different types of mediumship. Some have trance, some have ability to write, hear, speak, and all that. So there are many. I think one of the things the Spirit says, that there are as many mediumship types as there are people, because and some people have more than one, or exceptionally, like Chico Xavier, he probably would have almost all types of mediumship. He was extremely exceptional in that sense. So we have all types of mediumship, but intuition is something that I think it's like mediumship is inherent in all of us. We have intuition of things. I took a note here, if you allow me, please. I think I'd rather read it rather than if we understand intuition in a psychological way, that says is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. So it's something that is almost a feeling that we have. And I think sometimes is given to us to almost prepare us for things. Sometimes you have a feeling that something, you're doing something, so you can, is it right or wrong? I think this instinct, this intuition keeps questioning us, our conscience, if we're doing something right or wrong. We also, in certain situations, something that we're doing, or we are in a situation that, say, for instance, in a street, and is late or whatever, and we have a feeling that comes to us and say, don't cross now, we stay, or don't go fast, don't. There is always something, and I think this is part of this instinct that, like you were reading in Peter, in Question of Prophecy, and even the text you read from André Luiz, is something that is inherent. It's almost like to help us, to save us of some situations that we can put ourselves through. For instance, I understand this like an example. I remember once coming from my friend's house, and I always take the same road, same path. I can go two different ways, and I always think one way is shorter than the other and is easier. But there is a place that is like a garden, and there isn't very many houses, but I always go there. I'm never afraid. But one day, coming out of her house, it was almost this feeling, almost I could hear something inside me saying, don't go that way, take the other way today. And, I completely dismissed it. And I think that's one of the things the Spirit said, if we could only pay attention to our own inner voices, we would have a lot less trouble. And I remember that I continued walking. I said, oh, that's silly of me. Why am I thinking that? And then suddenly I heard this inside again. It's like, take the other road. And the voice was so strong inside me. There was no doubt of it. I came back and I took the other road. And I think that's to me is kind of instinct, because it's almost like a protection that God gives us. You have this feeling of something is going to happen. And it's interesting because in looking for the synonyms for intuition, you have hunch, presentiment, premonition. We have second sight, sixth sense, clairvoyance, and ESP, extrasensory perception. So within this intuition, you have all this things as well, all this meaning, and each and every one of them is something that tell us something that we can feel. I think there's something as well that in the Medium's book, he said we are presentient. Which is, he says in the medium, it says a vague intuition of things to come, and is certain part of mediumship. Certain mediums have it more developed than others. It's a sort of second sight, and they give glimpses of the present event because we have what is happening, and we all these things that are happening, we can gather it, and we can almost predict what the consequence of it will be in terms of, because this knowledge comes to us. So we have that, and I feel personally that this inner voice that we have, intuition is an inner voice that if we should pay attention to, because it can help us, can save us, can inspire us, and I think in many ways it's help from the spirits as well. So within this, some our spiritual benefactors are helping us by giving us some feeling, some thoughts, some intuition of something to come, to help us to be more artistic, or to be kinder, or to see maybe the situation in a different ways. And like the Spirit says in talking about a future life and the joys of the future life, this is already some kind of remembrance that we have within us, that our only spirit have the knowledge, because the Spirit has lived many lives. And we have the intuition of things for the future, the joys and sorrows, as in the Medium's book they put, because we have already that knowledge, as the presentiment is given by the Spirit that is incarnated in him. So we have lived before, so we have that knowledge. And I think this is one of the things that guides us more than everything. And this is every single person who have it, whether they believe in God or not, or is absolutely inherent in who we are as human beings. We have this presentiment, we have this intuition, that's what sort of guides us and help us. I think it's more help than anything, and I think it's something that was developed throughout the millennia, when our spirit, our bodies, our perispirits, and the intelligent principle was being developed. And that's one of the things that maybe helped us originally and was developed. And of course, as we progress spiritually, we become more and more aware. So intuition is something that becomes stronger. But everybody has it. Every single person has intuition. So I feel that we can really listen to it and use it, and to make our lives better, and be more aware of our inner voice and listen to it more carefully. And I suppose that's one of the things, that through meditation, to calm ourselves, in a kind of relaxed, peaceful, and listen to our minds. We have a lot of intuition and things. And even going to the point that, all the great inventors, they had this point of meditation or quieting down, because then that was when they were able to get into realms where they could invent things and create things. And I think Stephen Jobs, he said something, he did a lot of meditation, and he said that quite a few of his ideas, or the things that he created, came from these periods of meditation. I think Einstein, and that great mathematician from India, was one of the greatest mathematicians ever. He used to go in meditation, and he said that there was a goddess that would come to him and give him all these equations and everything. So I think that probably would be something going forward. We would need to take some time for ourselves and to quieten our minds and listen to our inner voice, and give ourselves opportunity to reach out to maybe our spiritual benefactors, and to be guided much more. Because I think, you said about the perispirit that they can disconnect and go. But I mean, in meditation, we can also go. We don't need to go to sleep to do it. We can just sit down, be calm. And the intuition is a safeguard, I think, for a better life. That's what I feel anyway. So maybe, you others can contradict or say something different, but that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Yes, it's very important to educate ourselves, because we don't know when the bell's gonna ring. As Chico says, the bells ring from there to here, not from here to there. No? Okay. Good night, Elsa Lee from Sweden. Thank you for being here with us. A virtual hug to you, Thais. Good to have you all here. Okay, let me see now. I think now we can go to France and talk to Mr. Kempf. And Charles, question 101 of the Spirit's book. The spirits said to Kardec that the imperfect spirits have an intuition of God, but they do not comprehend him. Why is it difficult to comprehend God? Why this is for some of us is a still painful task?
Wow, that's a good one, Steven. Let me try to answer quickly in 10 minutes, if possible, to leave space also for Nadja and Elsa. So question 101 of the Spirit's book, as you told, is talking about the imperfect spirit. This question is the first one of the spirit hierarchy or the spirit scale, depending on the translation. And this imperfect spirit, which are, let's say, at the beginning of the evolution, they are more governed by instincts. And really, Silvia made a good link between instincts and intuition. When we talk about animals, for instance, they have almost what is predominant in them is the instinct. It's something which is, there is no reasoning. They just go and follow the instinct, which is some collective inspiration or intuition, if we can say so, that is helping them in order to survive and to reproduce or to make the perpetuation, continuation of the species. Now, so Silvia made very clearly the link between instinct and intuition. So the intuition of God is something that Kardec is saying that even these imperfect spirits they have. And I would say could we say, for instance, that animals have intuition? Maybe, maybe not. We don't use the word so much for animals. We use it mostly for humans. So in a certain way, this intuition is one of the next steps when in this transition, the humanification of the animals, if we can use these expressions. This intuition is appearing, and even in some imperfect spirits or very at the beginning of their evolution, not just created simple and ignorant as we know and without knowledge, they still already have this instinct which is helping them in their evolution. So this instinct at the beginning comes from the creation itself, these faculties that each soul has to progress endlessly in the direction of God. So what happens then is from this initial intuition until, to answer your question, a better comprehension of God, this only comes progressively with the evolution of the spirits, because instinct is something which comes naturally. Comprehension is already something more, something which results from the analysis done by our spirits, through our brains, through the intelligence in certain way. So the better comprehension of God comes with the evolution. But even so, it's not so straightforward so immediately, because initially the notion of God have been taught to us by the traditional religions, isn't it? Which unfortunately were in most of them dogmatical, so without further explanation. So it's to believe. It is typically what we call the blind faith. It is written like this, the Pope or whoever else has told it is like this, so you must believe even if you don't understand. So you see, the comprehension is not here yet fully in this dogmatical religious approach. So what happens then is later the spirit is evolving and is getting more capacity to reason, to better intelligence, and he's not satisfied anymore from this blind faith. He demands legitimately to understand more before believing. Okay, so this also doesn't happen straightforward in one step. It happens in several steps, because at the first stage this leads to incredulity, rejection of religion, atheism, and so on. This is also driven by, at this stage of evolution, intermediary still, excessive pride, to reluctance to admit that there is existing something above humanity, in the case God. And then comes a second stage later, along with the development of the opposite virtue from the pride, it's humility. And then with the humility, the being is coming slowly to more towards the reasoned faith. And currently, at current stage of evolution of the humanity, so most of the humans are able to better comprehend God, yet by far not entirely. And that's the main point. We can have a partial comprehension of God. And the best example of this is the Spirit's book, part 1, chapter 1, the very beginning of the Spirit's book, which is entitled God. And this part is really bringing some strong elements of comprehension of God. For instance, God and the infinite, the first subsection. What is God? God is the supreme intelligence, first cause of all things. So it's a very simple, short definition, but when we can think about it during hours and hours and hours, so profound it is. So it is also, you see, supreme intelligence, first cause. It's reasoning also about the infinite. So the question number 2 is, what is meant by the infinite? And the spirits are answering very clearly and very straightforward. Infinite is what has neither beginning nor end. And they make the link with the unknown. All what is unknown is infinite. So we know a finite number of things, but what we don't know yet is really much more is infinite. And if we say, could we say that God is infinite, is the infinite in question number 3? Of course, it's an incomplete definition. It's not yet that with these notions that we can understand better what God is. Then Kardec is also talking about the proofs of the existence of God, which basically is there is no effect without a cause. This is used in every science, and we can use it also for God. If we see all what exists in the universe not created by man or humankind, what is the cause? But the cause is, at the end, the first cause is God. So to believe in God, to better comprehend God, it's just to observe the universe. All these stars, supernova, solar system, galaxies, and so on. And we come very quickly to the conclusion that there must be a cause for all this, that this is not just appeared like by chance, like this. And this is also helping a lot in this comprehension, but still takes time, because to make reasoning about the infinite, personally, we started this type of things in the mathematics at the end of the secondary schools, but not everyone is able really to reason about the infinite. And the God, since God is infinite, we need to have this capacity of reasoning in order to understand it better in this way. And the other part of this section of the Spirit's book is also very fundamental, is what are the attributes of the divinity. And this is really mathematical reasoning through the absurd. So, for instance, question number 10, Kardec is asking, can human beings fathom God's innermost nature? Answer for the spirits, no. They lack the aptitude to comprehend it fully, we understand. So we cannot comprehend the essence, the intimate nature of God. But we can understand some attributes of the divinity. And this happens, as per the Spirit's answer on question number 11, when their spirits are no longer eclipsed by matter, and when they have finally purified themselves enough to be able to approach God, then they will see and comprehend God better and not fully. And then Kardec is making his very natural reasoning. Question number 13. When we state that God is eternal, infinite, immutable, immaterial, one, all-powerful, and supremely just and good, don't we have a complete idea of God's attributes? Answer of the spirits. Yes, from your own point of view, yes, because you believe that in so stating them, you therefore have named all of them. Nevertheless, you should understand that there are things that transcend the intelligence of the most intelligent person at our current level of evolution that we have today. Things that our language even our language cannot define yet, because it is limited to our ideas and sensations right now. So our reasons tell you that God must be perfect in all those attributes to the highest degree. For if God lacked any of them or was not perfect in them up to the highest degree, God would not be superior to everything else, and thus would not be God. So you see, typically it's a reasoning by the absurd. If I how to say, if it is not like this, it makes no sense. So it has to be like this. Okay, and this is also some gymnastic of the spirit that is teaching that the spirits know a little bit, because exactly at the beginning of the spirit's book, it's bringing this type of reasoning, which is very highly challenging for all of us. Huh? So today, to summarize, we have a growing, we have a growing better and better understanding of God, yet far to be full, but still we today know enough. Huh? We know that we have to care first about ourselves to become better person, to drive our moral reform, to become better and to move on the evolution case towards God, knowing that with the time along our evolution, we will understand him better. So it's not so complicated to understand a little bit, but it's impossible to understand it fully today. Thanks for your attention and your time.
We will reach there. No worries. We will reach.
Sure, we will, for sure.
Yeah. So we have here a couple of questions. Thais ask how to improve intuition, and Thais, I would say it's mindfulness, meditation, this type of uh, 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 silence. When you do a silence, when you stay with you in order to take care of yourself. So that's one way. This is my thought. I don't know if you guys agree. But also, Guilherme Diaz, he asked, should I listen my intuition? How can I differentiate my intuition from my external influence? Silvia, if you can say something.
Yes, if I understood the question is, how do I differentiate my intuition from influence?
External influence.
Yeah, I think basically, something that you just said, we have to listen to ourselves. We have to listen to something that makes sense to us. And I think going as well from what Charles was saying just before, we need to stop and be aware who we are, what are things. If we are, say for instance, if we know what kind of person we are, we through efforts we've been trying to be a better person, to be kinder, and then suddenly we have feelings that we want to do something else, but something that we have already more or less educated in ourselves, so we know that will not be ours. We know we need to go and know who we are. If we don't react violently, if we are not rude, we try to be better, be understanding and caring, and suddenly, out of the blue, you start having these angry sensations and everything, we know it's not ours. Because, first, I can give an example. Sometimes, I basically am not a sad person. I'm quite happy, go round kind of person myself. I think I have my moments, but mostly I try to see everything in a positive way. But sometimes, something had happened. I was a bit upset about something that had happened. And suddenly I'm standing there in the bus stop with my shopping, and I start feeling really sad, oh my God, this world is horrible, and this and that. And I was completely involved in this, and I was in tears. My blouse was actually getting wet because I was in tears, and I had even realized. And suddenly I thought, oh, God, had these negative thoughts and was getting worse and worse. And suddenly I felt like somebody got me by the shoulders and really shook me. And it was like I was waking up. So I think I don't have this kind of sad, depressive thoughts. As a rule, I'm a very different kind of person. And if I had been listening to myself, going into that, I would know that those thoughts are not mine. And I think you really just have to stop and ask yourself, am I that kind of person? Am I that sad, or am I that angry? And if it's not, then you know it's not. So I would suggest that what I do for myself, I pray and ask God's help and ask the benefactors to give me the courage and the strength to go over that moment. And usually works. So I don't know, that's how I do for myself anyway, and it works for me. So I think everyone has to find their own, and prayer always helps.
May I just complement the answer quickly? Guilherme is asking, how can I differentiate my intuition from an external influence? In a certain way, intuition is an external influence, so it's difficult to differentiate. The most important is to differentiate whether it is good or bad, because everyone knows that we can be influenced by spirits who want us to collapse or to fall down or to go to the wrong way. So this is why even with intuition, we need to exerce our discernment. Is it good or not? These famous Socratic filters that we talked about already in the past lives. And so this is what is the most important. What Silvia, the example she gave, shall I go this way or that way? Then you reason, okay, 1 or 2 times it happened to you when you had this intuition and you followed it, it avoids you some problem on the other way. So based on this experience, you say, okay, this way or that way, it makes not a big difference. It's not a really bad thing for me. So I accept to follow the intuition and to go that way. Until maybe sometimes it happens that that other way was the wrong one. And the first one you wanted was a good one. And that is then how slowly but surely you learn to make the difference. But it requires listening to ourselves, clearly.
I think there are many connections between intuition, inspiration, and external thoughts. Although they have a lot of similarities, I myself, I can differentiate, Charles. Inspiration, when I was doing my gospel, for example, Gospel in the Home, last Saturday or last Sunday, the inspiration came, and I wrote something very beautiful. I never do this in my gospel, but it's something that very good because I can do it, no problem. Intuition, when something come to my mind and say, oh my God, you have to go to the doctor. You have to see something. I say, I know that something is wrong with me. When the external thoughts come, and they can be good or bad, is also similar to the intuition for me, but I myself, I can differentiate when it comes from the spirits, try to avoid something bad for me, or some reply for some email, don't do that. I know that are them external thoughts, good ones, and I know when the bad ones as well. Like, do this, you don't deserve this, you can reply that, blah, blah, blah. I don't follow it. No, it is not mine. Okay? But it's up to, we are immersed in a lot of thoughts, different levels of thoughts, and good and bad. And it's up to us maintain ourselves in serenity, meditation when is possible, prayer every day, silence, as Silvia said and Stevan said. When we do silence and a soft music, only a soft music, and do a silence, it's looking like a meditation, but it's not. You do a silence, you can feel that it can amplify your horizon, your mind, and you can perceive things around you. Is also mixed with mediumship. All of us, we have this intuition. We're born with intuition. No?
Okay. So, Nadja, it's your turn, my dear. Let's go to Lithuania right now.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I just saw that there is a question from Guilherme Diaz. that
He has a
might be
question.
related to what we're saying about, when I'm very sad, depressed, this could be related to some external influence. Then I think there could be at some point, as Silvia was saying, at some moments you know that it's not your normal. So your normal is to be an easygoing person, and not, you don't have to be happy all the time. But when you feel something very strong coming from inside, or even from outside sometimes, and then it makes you more and more depressed and with repetitive thoughts, and you're trying to, you're fighting because you know that it's not you inside, that you think differently, and then it could be an external influence then. But also, we as spirits, we are energy and we have our vibration. And then when we are in that vibrational state and we connect to other spirits that are in the same vibration, so we are a little bit responsible for also this connection. So we need to always, I know it's difficult, it's easy to say, but it's difficult to do, but try to change this vibration. Some kind of meditation could help, or some music, some films, some talking to people that could raise your energy levels, and then you change this a little bit, and then little by little you can come out of the sad and depression to a more normal state, your normal state. But could be also a disbalance of your electro activities in the brain, or neurotransmitters that are missing, some hormones that are you're lacking. Like, I think I just saw making this connection with Thais' comments. She said that she felt after COVID lockdown a blur in her intuition. So there's a little bit of there's a mix of chemical derangement in your body that sometimes may need some extra vitamins or medication that will help you to make the connection in a good normal level, and then you can come out of this sadness, depression, anxiety easier than. And talking, also therapy also helps, and getting to talk about your feelings with people also helps to try to understand what's happening to you, and then help you to come out of the state of sadness and depression and anxiety.
Thank you, my dear. Okay. Also, Thais says, so we need to use our critical rationality to process the inspiration. And it's good when we know ourselves, so we can understand when it's not exactly coming from us. Perfect, my dear.
It's a little bit of practice, no? As we were saying, you practice, the more you practice your intuition or inspiration, the easier it gets to differentiate everything. So, like Silvia said, like I listened to it, but I didn't give too much attention. But no, and then extra time, the second time was stronger. So then I follow it. So it was just a signal to say, like, okay, follow my intuition, follow this information that I'm receiving. It's coming from inside. There is a spiritual help that's helping me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit of practice as well.
Yeah, and Nadja, in the Medium's book, Kardec wrote that the presentiment is a vague intuition of future things. When we have this, let's call connection, with the spiritual world, we already saw our pineal gland starts to work. So, could you tell us if the intuition is part of the coming through the pineal gland as well, or is something not connected to?
Well, this message, it's the presentiment is a vague intuition of future things, is from the Medium's book, chapter 15. item 184, no, 184. And he mentioned that some people have this faculty more or less developed, so the presentiment, the intuition. Some is considered as double vision. But some people might be able to see what's able to happen. Some other people will hear it or feel it. And I think we all do at some point. So as Silvia said, we have this uneasy feeling that something is not right. Or even in dreams, we have this connection with someone who is about to die, or is dying, or is already dead, but it's in the physical bodies in a coma in a hospital, for example. So we all experience this intuition, this presentiment. And they are not in vain, like I said before. It can be an alert and hope and prevent disaster. And what it has to do with the pineal gland is because the pineal gland is an endocrine gland. It's a very small pea size in the middle, between at the level of our eyes, in the middle of the brain, between the two hemispheres. And this endocrine gland controls or coordinates the production and secretion of hormones in the body. It also controls the circadian cycle, which is how we perceive our perception of light and darkness. So we all in the nature and the animals, and we know that it's dark, so we have to sleep, and when the sunrise we have to be awakened. So because our pineal gland has sensory component that converge the electromagnetic forces of the Earth and other planets and stars. So there's and this electromagnetic conversion is made because of the crystals of apatite that are inside the pineal gland. And these crystals, they have ions and electrons, which have this electromagnetic capacity. So this captures the vibrational waves of the spiritual world, which means that this is related to mediumship. And it, depending on the most sensitive part of the person, it can be from the frontal lobe, for example, and then the person has intuition or ideas. And then this is connected, for example, with the third eye chakra. Why is third eye chakra? That they say because it's here in the middle between the eyes. And so the third eye, and this is called mind's eye or a light receptor, to open our minds to see what it's out there with a third eye. So this transmits the information from outside to our brain, and so we can form the ideas, the images, and the sensations, and these all ideas and are or message captured by the spirit from the spirits, from through vibration and through thought. Yeah, I'm seeing just a question here. Sorry, I just stopped because there is which part electrons with what vibrates on the same intensity of the spiritual. So we have the electrons are part of this apatite crystals. No? So the pineal gland contains apatite crystals, and the crystals contain electrons ions. So this makes this forms an electromagnetic field, and that converge from the electromagnetic field that are in the space. The same way that we are now connecting here. I'm here in Lithuania, Stevan in Ireland, Elsa in London, Charles in France, and Silvia also in London. So we are all talking. I don't know where you are, Thais, but then you are receiving this information. So it's all vibration, energy, and it gets to you this kind of information. So the same way we get this information from the spiritual world via our pineal gland. With time, it can get easier to get the disconnection of the physical body. Okay, in London. So we can get this disconnection from the body because of there are more crystals in the pineal gland. Yeah, and I don't know if you're aware, but in the Evolution in 2 Words, André Luiz, the spirit, says that the cells obey simple or complex commands that governs our existence. So our minds or thoughts commands our body, and depending on vibration, it can rearrange or derange cells. So we see this with those experiments that some children do with plants. They put one plant there with that they will say good words, loving words, and then they put another plant that they will start bullying that plant, saying bad things. And after a week or so, you see the difference. One plant is green, beautiful, big, has grown, and the one that has been bullied is very without basically energy, very bad looking or almost dead, the plant. So if the plant can receive this kind of energy, so we are much more complex, and of course that we are receiving information from everywhere and trying to transform it to an understanding. So an understanding could be vision, depending on the region that you are more sensitive. So frontal lobe, intuition, occipital lobe, visual perception, and so on. So that's more or less. I think I hope I tried to clarify a little bit, but then I got a little bit complicated, and in the end, I'm sorry.
Thank you, my dear. Yes, yeah, thank you, and thank you, Herminio Silveira, for your comments. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. And Elsa, you thought you were gonna be without any question, but I do have easy one for you, my dear. Question has 715 of the Spirits book. Kardec asked to the spirits, how can men know the limit of what is necessary? Since the good intuition help us and warn us of possible harm or danger, how we can recognize these limits?
It's interesting because we are talking about intuition, and here the good intuitions help us and warn us possible harm or danger. For centuries, we know that part of humanity is insatiable. And Kardec says, nature has traced out the limits of their needs in their physical organization, but their vices alter their constitution and create artificial needs. We know that because sometimes you don't need so many things and you go there and buy more, and the loads of things in our wardrobes, etc. For sure, right? There are parts of the world people need. So if someone have too much, for sure, other part have nothing. That is, people in greedy, people that wants everything, they don't even try to listen to their intuition. If so, they have the intuition, but they go over it. As says here, their vices alter their constitution and create artificial needs. I can make my house a bigger one because I need more wardrobes, more space, more furniture, more cars. Why? We should listen and see Chico Xavier. Only two, sweet for change, sometimes no socks. Everything that he has in double, he gave to someone in more needs than him. So this was an example, but people, of course, don't live like that anymore. Try to, if you have money, try to be greedy at least. But as I know Mutirão, as I know people around the Mutirão, that is our Charity Brazil, I know how much people are really in need. They don't have even the necessary sometimes to live. And we have more than the necessary to live. So you have to use our reason to be more charitable and think more about our environment. Use less things that harm our environment. Not think that the world is mine. I can do everything with the sea, I can damage here and there, and that's it. So it's up to us to have a better world. Our future, joys or sorrows, is up to us. For sure, the law of cause and effect will be under divine guide, and we will get there, good or bad, for our improvement, our evolution.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. So I go quickly here to our announcements because we are already over time. Let me here. And there we go. So next Wednesday, our talk is about who are mentors and who are obsessors. So don't miss it. Next Wednesday, 9 p.m. London time. Also this Saturday,
Obsessors. So
also
don't miss it. Next Wednesday, 9 p.m. London time.
yeah, let me see. Okay. Yeah. Also, this Saturday on the 26th of February at 7 p.m. London time, we will have a talk on the European Spirits Gathering given by Bianca Taban, the integration of the spirit with the body. The Zoom meeting details, it's on your screen. Please feel free to join and let's listen Bianca giving her talk. On Saturday in March, on the 12th of March, we will have Educating on Our Children, Seminar for Family, Unquestionable Commitment. So it's Saturday, 12th of March, between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. London time. And the speaker, our special guest, is Lucia Moises from Brazil. Also, every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. London time, we do have the Mediums book. It's a free online course given by Guilherme Dias, Munir Gariba, and Charles Kempf. So don't miss it. Every Wednesday as well, 4 p.m., it's time for a coffee break. Munir is there to giving us beautiful and wonderful insights. It's 50 minutes, 20 minutes most, but full of energy and inspiration for everyone. And every other Tuesday, Guilherme Dias and Rafael Caldas, they come with the Time to Talk. Is a conversations on mediumship. Don't miss this. It's a wonderful topic to stop by and listen conversations on mediumship. Okay, and also Buzz will launch guidelines to spiritist works. So stay tuned. Soon we will have it.
In Portuguese, we have already.
Yeah. And in April, don't miss, we will have the first World Spiritist Month with almost 40 countries join forces to talk about Spiritism. Okay? And that's it, my friends. I want to say thank you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope
Thank you.
you have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Karen,
Good evening. Bye
Munir,
bye.
bye bye.